Hey, and welcome to the Drive and Dish podcast. We're here for January the 5th to do our college basketball and NBA picks. Our man, Dynamite David is with us. He's been on a hot streak. Can he continue that hot streak today? We'll see. Are you ready to get into some college basketball picks?
I'm ready for it.
All right, let's go back over what we did on January the 4th. You had a 3-0 day. That put you on a 6-0 streak. You had Stanford minus the 6.5 versus Oregon State. You had Siena minus the 2.5 versus Monmouth. And you had West Virginia minus the 1.5 versus Oklahoma State, who made a torrid comeback those last 10 minutes and just squeaked out covering that spread. But that's what you need to go 3-0. That's what you got. It moved your record to 34, 37-1 on the year, creeping up closer to
Almost
Mount
there.
500 there. One more 3-0 day away from Mount 500. All right, I went 1-1. I lost the Gardner-Webb versus Campbell matchup. Gardner-Webb sucked, and we won't be taking them again all year. They're on a banned list. I also had West Virginia minus 1.5, and I got the win there. 1-1 overall, 90-76-1 on the year. All right, light slate in college basketball. What do you got for us today?
First off, I just want to start with one of my picks today got canceled. I really liked UCF at home against Memphis. They were getting 1.5 there. I thought that was going to be an easy win, but I believe, I guess it's due to COVID. I haven't seen the official reason. And there's another one I'm watching and I'm keeping an eye on. This Rutgers-Michigan State game tonight, it's a big matchup. Rutgers right now is getting 2.5. I think if it gets up to about 4, I'm going to bite on that and take it. But we'll see how the line moves there tonight. First off, I've got 4 picks today, and I'm going to start with 2 games in the SEC. I'm going to take a team I've taken in the past. I'm going to ride with them again today. I've got Alabama minus 3.5 at home against Florida. Alabama's really hot right now. They've won their first 2 conference games in the SEC by 8 or more points. And Florida's really struggling to find momentum without Keontae Johnson. Their defense has really struggled since he's gone out. So I like Alabama at home minus the 3.5. Next up, Missouri minus 1.5 at Mississippi State. Missouri just got a big bounce back, double-digit win on the road against Arkansas. They're 19th in defensive efficiency and 65th in offensive efficiency. Played a lot of tough games this year, and their only loss was an ugly loss to Tennessee, who's one of the best teams in the country. So I like Missouri minus the 1.5 at Mississippi State. I've got another, Big 12 matchup here. I like Kansas minus the 5.5 at TCU. Kansas is 9-0 against the spread in their following 9 games, coming after a 20-point loss. So that's a stat for you I found on someone else's website. But I like it. I think they're going to bounce back big here, try to make a statement after that ugly loss to Texas to start the season, or Big 12 season. So Kansas is going to cover the 5.5. Another one that I just recently took, I'm going to take Clemson minus the 4.5 at home against NC State. You would think with my love of high-powered offenses, I'd be going with NC State here, but I'm going to ride the strong defense of Clemson at home. And NC State, their only loss of this year was their true road game. So this is their second true road game of the year, and I don't like them getting the win in this one. And hopefully Clemson covers that 4.5 for me.
All right. Big day, 4 games. Can he keep the hot streak alive? Can he get back to 500? It'll be a very entertaining day. I got 2 picks on the college basketball side. One, I'm going against you. I'm taking Mississippi State at home plus the 1.5. They run a real slow down pace, efficient offense. Missouri theoretically played that in Tennessee. Slow down, efficient offense relative to what you think Tennessee's offense efficiency really is. They played a lot of weak teams, so it might be a little boosted. But Missouri struggled with them. I think back-to-back road games might hurt Missouri here, so I'm going to ride Mississippi State plus the 1.5 at home. And my last one.
Sorry, I'm going to interject there. I just want to say, out of my 4 picks, that's probably my most confident pick. So I'm really going against you there. I think Missouri's going to win big at Mississippi State tonight.
Well, I'm not confident in either of these picks. We had to have a show, so I had to chart down a couple things. And this next one, I'm not totally confident either. This is an eyeball tester. UConn plus the 1.5 versus Marquette. They haven't played a road game yet, so that's always a mark. I'd rather see you play on the road before I start taking you. But eyeball says UConn's a better team than Marquette from what I've seen. Marquette has sort of struggled this year. They've lost that sort of real up-tempo, fast-paced style that Steve Woj brought to them the last handful of years. They're really a much more slow-down tempo team this year. So I like UConn. I like what I've seen so far. So we'll see if they're the better team and can go on the road and get a win versus Marquette here. All right, to the NBA. It was a big day in the NBA, 2-0. I should retire after that day, but anyway, we will continue on making picks, even though I hated today's slate and really had to force the one I took. So I would not advise taking that one either that I have on the schedule, but had the Dallas Mavericks plus 3.5. I was correct. Luka Doncic rested, and he came back and destroyed the Rockets that day and rode the Golden State Warriors and the Steph Curry hot streak plus 2.5 versus the Kings. Really sort of easy money there. Really actually liked that NBA pick, whereas I don't always like my NBA picks, but we're going to ride the Utah Jazz minus 4.5 versus the Brooklyn Nets. Don't really love it. Look for Brooklyn to be actually worse a couple games later after Kevin Durant's missed one. They probably will get up for this one. Jazz on the road's a little tricky, but nonetheless, if Brooklyn lays an egg, the Jazz at minus 4.5. Our NBA DFS plays of the day. We got a small slate, 5 games in the NBA. So it'll be a tough sledding to find those cheap ones in there that will push you into victory. Let's start out in the point guards. And it's really hard to find value here. I think you got to spend. All 3 of the top guys have really great matchups. Damian Lillard's playing a very poor defense in Chicago. Kyrie Irving will be the lone scoring attack for the Nets with Kevin Durant out. Utah's not a great matchup. They do play solid defense, but look for Kyrie to show out and score out today in the Brooklyn. And lastly, Jamal Murray versus Minnesota, also very poor defensively. So I think if you're spending money, you got to spend a top end at the point guard because I found it very, very large drop-off in the bottom half. I highlighted Monty Morris. Maybe this Denver game's a blowout. They could probably get away with playing him and Murray together some. So look for Monty Morris. The other one, Fencudo Campazio has gotten a little minutes for Denver lately. Really solid playmaker. At 3,800, he might be able to give you a little bit, but his minutes don't always come. If he's getting minutes, I think he'll give you a nice little piece of the action at a very cheap 3,500 price. And lastly, DeAnthony Milton, 3,800 with John Morant out, him and Tyus Jones playing a little bit more minutes together. So if Milton gets the bulk of the minutes instead of Tyus Jones today, look for Milton to be at least a decent value versus the Lakers. But if I was in point guards, this is definitely where I'd spend my money way up at the top because the drop-off after Murray is really, really big. Next up, let's go to the shooting guards. Once again, all 3 guys up top really have great matchups. So I'd be scared not to spend here. Paul George, Zach LaVine, and Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell versus Brooklyn should have a field day with that matchup. No one on that team can really match up with him. So look for Donovan Mitchell to have a big day. San Antonio's defense has been really poor, so look for Paul George to light it up. And Portland has been a sieve on defense so far this season. So Zach LaVine should score some points. But there are, I think, at least some decent options in the lower part of the salary. But Karis LeVert should take up some of that scoring burden that Kevin Durant won't be there at 6,100. That's pretty decent value. Dylan Brooks should fill in void for Ja Morant. Look for him to score versus the Lakers. And he has pretty good value as well at 6,100. And lastly, Jordan Clarkson at 5,300 should be a high scoring affair with Brooklyn. So Clarkson should be able to come off the bench and really put in some points there. All right. What do we got next? We got the small forwards. And if we're saving money, I think we can save money here. I do have Kawhi Leonard highlighted. I think that will be a pretty good value there for San Antonio. Once again, their defense is really poor, but highlighted Keldon Johnson, been playing well, been really putting up pretty decent fantasy numbers for the value. He's started to creep up above salary-wise what his value is, but still at 6,500 in this slate. I wouldn't be scared to use Keldon Johnson today versus the Clippers. Joe Harris at 4,600, really good value. This is where I'd save money. And lastly, Anthony Edwards, 4,400. I think you take a shot in the dark here. He might get you 17 and 6 at 4,400. That's really great value. So Anthony Edwards versus Denver, pretty poor defense without Carl Anthony Towns. Easy for me to say. Maybe Anthony Edwards gets a little uptick in scoring and usage percentage here, 4,400. Good value. This is where you save money after the two guards, shooting and point guard, eat up a lot of your salary here. Next, let's go to the power forwards. Anthony Davis versus Memphis. They, without Jaren Jackson Jr. in there, Brandon Clark will probably play the bulk of the minutes. Very good defender, but he might get in foul trouble. They don't have a lot behind him to guard Anthony Davis. So look for Anthony Davis to have a field day. Not a lot of depth that I love today. Bojan for Utah should have a pretty good game versus Brooklyn. He's still pretty good value at 5,300. He's been a little hot and cold, though. So, it's a little bit feast or famine, but 5,300, decent price. Kyle Kuzma continues his mediocre start, but he gets enough in the 20s where you can see value there at 4,100. If you're looking to save and you're getting a solid 20 points, that might be where to go, especially on a small slate of games today at 4,100. And last, Juancho Hernan-Gomez has not been pretty, but he does play minutes for Minnesota. 3,500, can't beat that. If you can get 15 to 20 fantasy points out of him and have the minimum value on there, I think you're making a pretty good deal there. So Juancho Hernan-Gomez at the minimum price at 3,500 for power forwards. And lastly, let's move to the centers. I do think there are a lot of center value here. Jokic pretty much is a must start. He's just been racking up great numbers. So no shame in using Jokic today, especially versus Minnesota. He will carve them to shreds. The only worry would be Denver blows them out. Jokic doesn't have to play as many minutes or work as hard. But in the middle tier, Nurkic, Allen, and Harrell, I think would all be good value plays. You could save some money there. They aren't going to hit the Jokic or Gobert level, but they should probably be around 30 points or so at 6,000, 5,800, and 5,300. Pretty decent value. So I'd look there, really, if I was going center and I had to spend a lot of money on my guards. Two pretty cheap options, Serge Ibaka. Will get you about 25, maybe a game. 4,500, pretty good deal there. You could save even more money if you drop below the Nurkic, Allen, Harrell level. So Ibaka. The other one I'm looking at, Favors. He might be able to get you 20 at 4,000. Decent value. I'd rather spend on Ibaka, but I do see some smart plays where Favors gets into some lineups there. So my stayaways for the day, Dejounte Murray, bad matchup versus the Clippers. I think he'll struggle scoring today. So I wouldn't pay the money for him, especially with what's up top at 7,000 for 2,000 more. You can get Lillard or Irving, and for about 900 more, you could get Jamal Murray. So I definitely go that way and stay away from Dejounte Murray today. DeMar DeRozan versus the Clippers, just a bad matchup. We'll have the best defenders on him, and I think we'll struggle to score today. So stay away from DeMar DeRozan. In the small forwards, Kyle Anderson will be matched up versus LeBron James a lot of the time. So I just don't look for a lot of scoring output or offense being run through him. So his value at 6,300, I just don't see it there, though. He's been a really solid fantasy contributor and pretty decent value so far this year as Memphis continues to give him minutes. LaMarcus Aldridge, just don't like the matchup versus the Clippers. He's been struggling. His value is dropping really low at 6,200. It's almost to the point where we would use him, but I'm still a stay away on LaMarcus Aldridge. And lastly, on centers, Jonas Valanciunas, I just think will be played off the floor today versus the Lakers at 6,800. I think there's better value behind him in Nurkic, Allen, and Harrell. And if you want to go really cheap, a bucket. Favors. That's our show for today. Those are DFS plays of the day. Be sure to follow all our podcasts on greenlightnetwork.org. You can find me at GLNChamp5 on Twitter and Instagram. That's our show, and we're out.